showing you something slightly different today from the Madhouse or the Mad Workshop. Friends asked me to have a look at one of their speakers. It's quite obvious that the tweeter has blown. So I've got my hi-fi system here. I used to do a lot of audio repairs, so I'm quickly going to take you through how to replace your tweeter on a speaker. Okay, first of all, you need to make sure that the tweeter is actually blown. So I'll power her up, got the speaker into the back of my hi-fi, got a CD on. I've already done this earlier. Can't play the music, but I can guarantee you it is definitely AC/DC. So quick little sound check. Press play. Take you a bit closer if you had to get a better visual. Now you can see that the tweeter has blown anyway. It's also fallen out. Now to get to the tweeter, first of all we're going to unplug it from the. Like I said, I've done this a few times before, so for me this is not too much of a problem. Luckily my friend has already bought their new tweeter, so I've got that ready. And we'll start first of all by taking the base out. The reason why I'm taking the base out is because, when I find the right Allen key, is because that's how you access the tweeter on this particular model. Okay, so take the base out. It is 8 Allen key bolts. So Allen key at the ready, and literally loosen off all those Allen key bolts. A bit like when you do your wheel on your car. Don't take them all out at once, loosen them off first. There is a heavy magnet on the back of the base, so we want to be ready for the weight of that. I loosen them off first. We can start taking them out. Okay, you can support the base while taking the Allen bolts out. You don't want it falling. Don't fall in because the weight of the magnet on the back will fall off and damage the cone. So let's take the rest of these out. You can tip it on its back to do this if you want, but just make sure you support it so it doesn't fall out on its own. Okay, so that's all 4 Allen bolts out. You may have to tilt it slightly forward to get the base out. Okay, for anyone that hasn't seen the back, you've got a heavy magnet there and you've got 2 connections. Yeah, one of them's quite loose. Okay, pop that down. Making sure it don't roll off and get damaged. Come up here to remove the tweeter from the back. Okay, on this tweeter, you've got your 2 cables just on a connector. As you can see, this tweeters, you've got the magnet, that's the same of all tweeters. And we're going to remove these 3 Allen key bolts here. So we can take this old damaged, obviously damaged tweeter out. Although it does still make some sound. Okay, so 3 Allen key bolts on the front of the tweeter. I don't know if you can see that. Let's bring you in. Okay, and as you can see, there's 3 Allen key bolts here. Just going to take those out. Easier on the desk. And I'm going to show you what the new So remove the 3 Allen key bolts. From the speaker, from the tweeter. Okay, so all it is now is case of gently lifting off the tweeter. As you can see, you've got a thin copper wire, and also on there would be the copper wire. Once the copper wire is broken, which I don't think in this case it is, although it's badly damaged, then you'll get a distorted sound from the tweeter, where it's been overdriven on the high frequencies. So let's take a look at our new one, carefully packaged. They are quite fragile tweeters, so you do have to be careful with them. This does take me back 3 decades. This does take me back 3 decades repairing speakers. Okay, so take the new one out. I think you might be able to show you the difference. Okay, so the wires on this one are here, the copper wires, and they are both still there. Probably a little bit clearer to see on this one that both the copper wires are here. Sometimes the copper wire can go and then it will go open circuit and you won't get anything at all out of the tweeter. You can always measure that with a multimeter, but this one is, the old one was working but just damaged from the outside. So be very careful when you put the tweeter back onto the magnet. Try and get it nice and level. Literally just place it back on the magnet. Okay, I'm going to put this down so it's easier. Line it up with the holes. Lined up with the holes for the Allen key bolts. Okay, quite often when you have to line the tweeter up with the magnet, you'll see there's a locating lug. Okay, so you've got a wider lug there, which is there on this tweeter, so that needs to go on there. So put it on the locating lug. Don't press it down, it should just slot in, and then the 3 Allen key bolts in. Don't tighten the first one down too tight. Go round, tighten them a little bit more, like you would do if you were doing your car wheel. You wouldn't tighten the first one really tight and then go back and go around tightening them all tight. Do them all a little bit, tighten them down a bit more. Okay, then just nip them up. There she is, such a nice easy job. Okay, so what we've got to do now is just put it back in. Make sure she sits nicely in there. So back on with the cable. There you go, it only goes one way round, so that makes it nice and easy. I'm going to pop this back in here. Okay, now there was nothing actually holding that tweeter in, which I find surprising. Yeah, it's magnetised, so it's holding itself to the frame just via the magnet. Usually there's some Allen key bolts around here holding them in. Okay, so nothing else suspicious going on in there. Making sure that the 2 base cables are nice and tight. And putting your base unit back in, which is also, as you'll see, is flatter on the sides than it is on the top. So you've got the flat sides and the round top. Again, pop the screws back in. Just hand tighten them to start with. So you've got them all lined up. Keep hold of that base because it will want to pop out. 30 years ago I was repairing speakers for a company called Soundcraft. And wow, that brings back some memories. I must admit, when I used to work in the technical services department. There was 7 of us, and we all had motorbikes. I was the only girl in the technical services department. The company had been going 21 years by then, so I felt quite proud of the fact that I was the first one to go in there. And I got fond memories of every morning before the manager of the technical services department would arrive in the mornings. We used to turn the volume up on the stereo system that was in there, whatever equipment we had at the time, nice and loud. We used to turn it up loud, and it always used to be AC/DC. So I'm just going to give this a little blast of music, just to make sure everything's going okay. Okay, so we're going to go back on with the stereo. There we go. This is our repaired speaker. So that's how you replace a tweeter. Fairly easy. If you want to replace the bass, literally just take the Allen key bolts out, 2 wires off, and replace the whole bass unit. But if you're really quite technical, and if you've got a bit more time and a bit more patience, and it's quite a lot more experience, you can just recone the bass, which is cheaper. The parts are cheaper, because obviously the magnet's quite expensive. But reconing is a whole nother ball game, and requires glue. And I'm not very good with glue. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to see what else we can do today, and show you some more hi-fi equipment along the way. The idea is today that I'm going to get on with some work on my bike, because she's sitting there waiting.